Tesla has announced that the Model Y standard range, which is by far the most popular trim in China, is sold out in China for 2023. Yen says, this is the first time I've seen this in history. It also states, on the road to delivering 1.8 million vehicles globally. Thank you for your contributions. And I fully agree with Farzad here. At some point, one needs to ask themselves if doubting Tesla's long-term success is a fool's errand. It is. You don't need to ask yourself. And more good news, Tesla China reportedly stopped providing its 8,000 yuan insurance subsidy to Model Y rear-wheel drive. I think at this point it's also not unreasonable to think that Tesla is going to increase the price further for the Model Y in China. And here's some more good Tesla news. The first ever Tesla sales and delivery center in Connecticut is officially open. This is important because Tesla got around Connecticut's direct sales ban by building on tribal land. Buyers will soon be able to take delivery in Connecticut directly from Tesla. And the drama in Sweden continues. Tesla is appealing to the Court of Appeals in its lawsuit against the Swedish Transport Agency. Tesla Sweden is disputing all the claims from the Swedish Transport Agency and claims that it is missing 1,000 license plates for new cars expected for delivery by customers. Tesla needs these license plates, otherwise it cannot deliver these vehicles. But what's going on here is Tesla sued Sweden basically, and then it won on the same day. Then there was an appeal, and they won the appeal, but now Tesla is appealing the appeal, and I'm sure that eventually Tesla will win here. Largely because when Tesla initially started the lawsuit, it won in one day. Literally, it took one day for Tesla to win. That's crazy fast. However, there is a problem. A Finnish union also joined a port blockade. So you cannot get cars into Sweden through any Swedish port, nor can you do that with a Norwegian port if the cars are heading to Sweden. And now you cannot do that with Finland either. So you cannot just take cars here and then transport them all the way through this border here. However, there is actually a road from Denmark to Sweden. I think Tesla could still transport vehicles to Sweden, basically just load them up on a truck, not on a ship, but on a truck, and then you have to drive through all of these roads. There are actually roads. These are islands, but they are connected by roads actually. So I think it should be okay. If I'm missing something, please leave a comment down below, but I think we should be okay. Transportation costs will certainly be higher, but I think we can manage. And Elon is going on the offensive here. Yesterday, Elon asked the US Supreme Court to consider whether the SEC overstepped its authority in enforcing a consent decree that he has called a muzzle on his constitutional free speech rights, his lawyer said. I like this. Tesla is now offering pre-qualified finance checks in the US so you can see if you would be approved for a loan before you place your order. This optional pre-qualification program uses a soft inquiry on your personal credit report to assess your credit worthiness. And we now know exactly how many shares that Union Fund has that threaten to sell Tesla stock because Tesla is not complying with their demands. And it's actually not much. It is only $57.5 million. I know that some people watching this video actually own more Tesla stock than that, but this would be a bit more problematic. There's this Norwegian fund that has $1.5 trillion in assets and is the world's biggest stock market investor. Now, this fund actually owns a significant amount of Tesla stock, $6.8 billion, which would be similar to Elon selling Tesla stock for 1 or 2 days. So that would probably create a buying opportunity because I think eventually they would invest back in Tesla because Tesla will figure something out with these Nordic countries. But in the meantime, about $100 million worth of Tesla stock has been unloaded from some of these funds. I just found out about a really nice Tesla update. With the new holiday software update, you will be able to see a 3D reconstruction of your surroundings while parking. I have been always quite annoyed that there's no 360 camera in a Tesla, but this will pretty much solve it. Although, one of the most important things for me personally is when I park is being able to see what's underneath my car in the front. Am I gonna hit the curb like this? Yeah, I really want that front camera. But I often park in really tight spaces and I need to see at the same time pretty much what's going on both sides and the back. So this may actually also solve the problem that Troy is presenting here. Model Y sales in Europe are on a decline, and he's estimating that in Q4 we will have even fewer sales than before. That's because we had pretty low numbers if you look at Germany here and the UK. And Troy says it would be a good idea to bring back the $5 rain sensor and the $114 parking sensor. Tesla saved $119 but cheapened the brand by $2,000. However, if you compare the first month of this quarter and the second month of this quarter to the previous quarter's numbers, you will see that actually we are doing a little bit better. But then of course we know that Tesla is working on eliminating the delivery wave completely pretty much, but I don't think we can really for sure know that there will not be a delivery record in Europe this quarter. Because you look at Model 3 sales and they are doing so well. And another important thing to remember is the reason why there was no more delivery wave last quarter is because the factory was basically shut down for upgrades. And before that, Tesla certainly has not eliminated the delivery wave in Europe completely. So I do expect a little bit of a delivery wave in December in Europe. There's another exciting feature in the holiday update. You can change your horn sound to a screaming goat. I think I'm gonna try that. BYD launches a Tesla Model 3 rival Seal electric sedan in North America. Oh, but it's just in Mexico. I thought maybe Canada or the US. And Gary Black actually just bought some more BYD stock. Personally, I'm not worried about the BYD Seal because the Model 3 in China before the refresh did quite a bit better than the BYD Seal. Exactly 1 week after the Cybertruck launch, we now have almost 32 million views of Cybertruck reviews. And here's the interest in the Cybertruck. The darker the blue is, the more interest there is. So we have this area here in Texas, then here especially, and then Washington State is also pretty interested in the Cybertruck. And here's my favorite one. This is Cybertruck versus Rivian versus F-150. F-150 is in yellow, and as you can see, there's no yellow. There is a little bit of red, which is where Rivian is more popular in terms of how many people are searching for the Rivian instead of the Cybertruck, but the Cybertruck is clearly dominating everywhere pretty much. Ross Gerber just ordered a Rivian. He also has a Cybertruck order, but the Rivian is going to be for his wife. And here's the search volume between the Model Y and the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is in blue, and as you can see, there are quite a few states where actually the Model Y search volume is higher, but you got to remember, you can actually buy and get a Model Y delivered now, but you have to wait for the Cybertruck for quite a while. Someone put together famous corporate taglines. If you really think about it, you could replace this word right here with the word love, and it would still mean the same thing actually. There's also a meme going around on X about growing food yourself.
And then you get this other guy who I was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, no, never see the light of day. Nope. I'm like, but this is the production truck, you know, they're delivering it in 2 weeks' time. And he's like, no, don't believe it. No, never going to make production. And I'm like, okay. So even when presented with the production car, people still can't believe it's real. There's this other guy who's going to his friend, oh, it's a movie car. And there's a Tesla engineer standing next to him going, actually, no, it's not a movie car. You can buy one. And he's like, looks to his friend. He's like, nah, it's a movie car.
Tesla Model Y is now the second best-selling vehicle in the US. It just beat Toyota RAV4. And you got to remember that the Tesla Model Y is about 40% more expensive than the RAV4. Only Ford F-150 sells better than the Tesla Model Y in the US now. Jeep owner Stellantis announces mass layoffs, blames California's higher emission standards, and this is likely to result in thousands of jobs lost actually, so things are adding up. And Elon made basically what would be considered a political comment today. They consider using the wrong pronoun, hate speech and harassment, but not calling for genocide. So there's this new movie, I think with Julia Roberts, where they show all these crashed Teslas because of full self-driving. Then they see another Tesla coming. They try to get in the car. They barely dodge that car. And then as they drive back, they barely dodge many other Teslas. I am not quite sure if this is a positive for Tesla's sales or negative. On one hand, more people will know about Teslas, but on the other hand, it creates some fear about full self-driving. Ross Gerber says that Tesla gets a downgrade that's based on Bernstein analyst Tony Sacconaghi, who carries an underweight rating with a $150 price target on Tesla, said he saw the potential for 40% downside move in the stock over the next 12 months, citing fading electric vehicle demand will likely lead to deeper cost cuts and increased competition from rivals in key markets, including China. But if you follow Tony, you know that he had that price target for a very long time already. Basically, about a year ago, Tony said that Tesla stock today would be about $150, and it is not. Today, Tesla stock is $243. However, he was correct about some things, for example, Tesla's price cut. So let's see what he had to say today on TV.
Says that his best idea for the new year is an underweight position in Tesla. He sees delivery and revenue estimates for 2024 and 2025 coming down materially, he says. And it's also a warning of a growth narrative around the company that he believes could weigh on the multiple.
Look, I think the backdrop is important here, both the market and for Tesla. So the Magnificent Seven have had an incredible year, as everyone knows. And I think there will be scrutiny on these names as we begin next year and people level set and say, where do we go from here? And we think Tesla's earnings are going to be flat next year. We think they're going to have to lower expectations around deliveries for next year. And the stock is trading at nearly 100 times our estimate for next year's earnings. And so if collectively the Magnificent Seven are going to, potentially pull back and investors are going to think about these stocks more critically, certainly Tesla is one of those companies where I do think that we could have underperformance.
But this is all just short-term thinking. Next year, I'm not really worried about what's going to happen next year. I'm worried about what's going to happen 5-10 years from now. And if you follow Tony for a much longer time, you will recall that he missed a tremendous opportunity with Tesla before Tesla went up about 10 times a few years ago. Right before that, Tony was highly skeptical about Tesla and Elon Musk. Also, a lot of these Tesla bears don't really acknowledge that Elon Musk in the long term has never ever lost any money for investors. And Elon just said he's not about to start now.
Tesla did very well this year. The stock almost doubled, despite the fact that earnings were essentially cut in half. Analysts thought they'd do about $6 in earnings a year ago. They're going to end up doing under $3. And the stock was remarkably resilient because people believe that growth is still intact. And I think 24 and 25 are going to be pretty tough years for Tesla. And so you do run the risk of losing this growth narrative. And it's really hard to sustain a multiple like that if people are doubting your growth.
Yeah, but thinking ahead 1 or 2 years is not really long-term thinking. I'm thinking 50 years ahead like this lady. That's a bit extreme for the stock market. Although with your personal life, certainly, I do suggest to think as far ahead as you possibly can. But I think with Tesla, having a time horizon of 10, 15, maybe 20 years if possible, I think that's really good. 10 years, I think, is a really good sweet spot.
If Tesla was able to deliver and regulators were able to accept full self-driving, a year from now, that adds potentially $10,000 plus in profit per car. And that dramatically changes the economics. I think our belief is that it's difficult to know when full self-driving will kick in, but we think it's years and likely multiple years, not only from a technology perspective, but perhaps more importantly, from a regulatory perspective. And then, I think more importantly, we think that over time, full self-driving will become democratized, that there are lots of really big companies investing lots of money in full self-driving. And so Tesla may very well get there first and may be able to command higher prices for a few years. But ultimately, like everything in the auto industry, competition drives down pricing. So that $10,000 per car, if Tesla's able to capture that 3-5 years from now, that could be $1,000 or $2,000 per car 5 years after that.
Right.
Okay, so let's say Tesla does solve full self-driving, and let's say somehow all of the competition just copies exactly what Tesla has done, and now everyone has full self-driving. But just like Tony admitted, Tesla would certainly be the first company to do so and would enjoy that leadership for a little while. Do you think Tesla would just sit there doing nothing, not innovating, not coming up with anything new, and just let everyone come in and beat Tesla? Or do you think Tesla would continue working on its Optimus bot, continue innovation, enter a new market with the bot, and then surprise everyone again? And make sure that you like the video if you haven't yet. If you enjoyed the video, that really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Thank you so much for watching.